There is this great guy in Denmark called Henrik that has this site called lygte-info.dk, probably done directly in HTML, but he actually tests, he might have tested more than 500, maybe 1,000 cells. He has done tests for, he prefers NIM batteries, and he tests a lot of NIM batteries and NIM chargers, and he also tests multimeters and electrical components. He's a really nerdy guy like me, but as you can see, the site is most likely made raw in HTML. You mightn't even be using Dreamweaver, just coding it by hand. It's really cool and old school, and there is so much cool info on this site. However, it is very difficult to navigate. Because it's very 90s with no databases or anything like that. But on the first site, it's you go into battery and chargers, because here is where you find the different cells, and you have all kinds of sizes. I'm into 18650s, so this is the category. And right now I'm looking to buy more high current cells. I'm usually using Sony Murata cells, and as you can see, he tested most of them. I am using this cell, VTC5A, at the current moment, and it can handle up to 35 amps. But he tested it at 30 amps, and it had 2.25 amps of capacity. Just one cell, 30 amps. That's still pretty good. But if you test it on a normal capacity like 1 amps, it has about 2.500. It goes down to 2.8 volts. Not all the way down to 2.5, so it's also missing a little bit of capacity. But the great thing about this site, he does very accurate tests, and you can compare them to other cells. And there's so many I don't know. Many of these are rewraps. The one like everything for Vapes is just rewraps, and Ultrafire, Trustfire, SoShine. Thinking of going with Samsung. They had something 25R. You can also go in and see the actual test of them, and all the data, it's max continuous 20 amps, and here we can actually see, does it handle 20 amps compared to this one. If I were using Sony cell with almost the same capacity, I would be getting about 2.3 amp hours at 20 amps. If I were using the Samsung cell, I would get a lot lower voltage, and I would only get about 2.2 amp hours. So the Sony cells, the Samsung cell is a lot cheaper, which is why I'm considering it, but it's so much lower voltage and you have lesser amp hours. So if you go down to 10 amp hours, there is not that much different, but still Sony is the better cells, and I don't want any crap. So can you find anything better? LG has also some cells. HK2 is something I found in a Bosch battery pack, or if it was a boosted board. So it's very cool, and I think it's decent price. To be fair, I would compare it to the VTC6. Now let's do a real amp test here. And this is because the cells he has didn't have the same print times, so they were not identical. But if you can see in these blue lines, the both cells are identical. So it's hard to know where to go. One is better, one is worse, but still with Sony you will get a higher voltage, meaning that they can actually probably handle more current, and the Sony can handle 30 amps and the HE2 only 20 amps. So let's see if we test it for 30 amps. Yeah, the Sony cell didn't do a good job there either. It stopped under 2, and the HD2 actually handled 30 amps better, but it has a lower voltage. So here you can play around with different value, different sets of cells. It's awesome to be able to test cells like this on the fly, just compare them. And also he is accepting cells for testing. If you find something that is not on his list, if you're a reseller or if you can buy some new cells, you can send him at least 2 new unused cells for testing, and he will test them. But it takes a few months because he has a lot of tests lined up. And here he is, A123. And I'm actually buying A123, but the new lithium-verke. Maybe he wants to test those. I can compare my favorite cells against my next favorite cell. The one I use the most is Sanyo GA. So this is a 10 amp cell. 10 amps, Sanyo has higher voltage, it has more capacity, and it cuts down about 3.1 volts. So that's still pretty good. Okay, none of them can handle 30, none of them can handle 20. Here you have, the Sanyo cells can actually handle that and still have about 2 amp hours. So I still think Sanyo NCRGA is superior, mostly because of my own test, but here you can verify how it works.